Hey everyone! Welcome to Caveman or Cozyman, Tangerine Piggy's Vintage Story tutorial Let's Play. Today we're going to be making it to the Copper Age or bust. That's the goal. We'll see. Last time we mainly fed the wolves. So without further ado, let's go! Dawn of Day 7. Time to get us into the Copper Age. Make us less squishy and delicious. Two wolves. So here we go. Let's see. Got some stuff in my pockets. Probably gonna empty that out. And nope. Okay, well. Okay. We're gonna heading this way into this plain, down towards this lake. I'm hoping to either find a bunch of gravel that I can dig up without destroying our beautiful landscape here to pan, or find some surface copper where there's less trees. Definitely less wolves. So that's sort of the game plan for today. First we're going to get our berry cutting in the ground, see how long that's going to take to do anything. It's going to take us about 36 days before it's grown, so hopefully by then we'll be long gone. But so you can see, transplanting berry bushes is not an early game. Not an early game strategy. Else we don't need right now. Feathers. Yeah. Take a bowl of soup. Be on our way. Never remember where the front door is. Poke my head over and see how our new pit trap over by the farms are doing real quick. That looked real promising the other day. Yeah, it was real promising. So we already got a lot of animals. Our crops are doing okay. You can see our turnips are almost half grown. Turnips are really going to be... If you were a seraph, you would be very tired of turnips probably by the end of the first winter. But turnips are going to be one of the most efficient crops that we've got going for us as far as food to time ratio. And they last a long time, so once we get them in a cellar, in a storage vessel, we're not going to have any trouble with turnips. We're running through some forests, so I'm going to do sound adjustment to try and make it easier for me to hear bees if we come across them. Or wolves. You never have too many sticks, so that's one of the things I always end up running around grabbing while I'm traveling through. Some of the most popular mods are ones that add the ability to turn firewood into sticks. Recipes. And I get why it's not a part of the vanilla game, but it is interesting that as soon as you get metal, you're able to get a tool that is just as efficient at making sticks, or getting sticks off of trees. There's no like late game uber strict stick gathering method that suddenly is empowering to everybody. So, one of the neat things I think about the blackberry bushes that it might be neat to exploit is that it slows you down. The other bushes don't seem to do that, so my thought behind it is, right, you're avoiding the brambles. I guess my headcanon for why it does that. but I also find it interesting. Playing this maybe. One of these days we'll catch some chickens. Our animal husbandry started. Gonna let ourselves get pretty hungry before we break into our bold food. That way we maximize the hunger stop timer that happens when you eat meals. In case you're wondering why I'm letting the nutrition drag down. More chickens. There's a pig nearby. Something off to my left. Eat us. Nope, we're okay. More cattails. This is, you know, a ridiculous amount of cattails. This generator. This world gen was very kind to us on the cattail front. Just last night I was playing a permadeath run. I had to go like several thousand blocks before I was able to find cattails. This is a pretty decent first world spawn. It doesn't have tons of bonus copper or anything like that, but it does have a lot of the stuff you need for your first run. Really accessible. Go check out those ruins over there. There's some fish in here that we can spearfish. Make up a spear real quick. You can eat the fish raw. It's not as filling as if you cook it, but we're out and about. So, napping. Oh, that's gonna be a hardy fish if it's... Those fish just attacked me back. That is unexpected. Even the fish don't take it lying down when you try and murder them. That's hilarious. Okay, well, lost track of those fish. Up there it is. No, you don't. Try and murder me once. Shame on me. Murder me twice. Something, something, something. Okay. It's gonna be great. Kinda am bummed I don't have... Leave them is... What was I doing before I got distracted by the violent fish? Oh yeah, wandering this way. Surface copper! Sweet! Living the dream. Another 3 nuggets. That'll make our lives easier later. I'll mark it on the map. Always nice. Find surface copper. Got some more clay over here, which is convenient. Clay. And if you pick the same icon in the same color and you've got saves suggested on, it'll just use your last names. I think we could dig down the top layer of this little island without impacting the natural beauty of the area much. For our purposes. I don't know, this is sort of my preference. I don't like to make giant pits or holes in the world. I think it's a really beautiful game, and I really like the way the terrain generates. So I try when I'm doing things like getting a bunch of gravel to find a way to do it doesn't completely destroy sort of what the general area looks like. So like it'd be rare to have a too high thing, so that's why I'm digging all the medium soil back a little bit. That'll be helpful if we decide to have a sod roof, because you need the medium soil for the sod roof. You know, we won't be able to do a sod roof till we've got a fair amount of copper, but that's going to get us... It's not a resource that's a problem to have too much of. Check out this little cluster of rocks over here. Oh, well, just some more flint. Not a waste of a day. Another seashell. And now our hunger is low enough that I'm gonna scarf on this bowl. So because the hunger pause is for basically each one of these notches, you get a little time. Filling up as many notches at once with a meal gets you sort of a longer period of break and being hungry. Got some more peat. Got a wolf. Gonna not mark that peat on my map. Gonna leave that wolf napping. Totally steal this. The world will be none the wiser. You can find, there's sort of some gravel pit biomes. We haven't been to one yet, but you can find one of those. That's always a good place to go for gravel. Oh, I've got spelt. We're gonna consolidate down these fish into fish meat. Yeah, that would make a good trophy for the wall. Oh well. Try and get some later. Oh man, no wonder they fought back. That's not a small fish. Got a lot of fish meat now. Rye seeds. Where do we want to go? I think that's the trader. Let's go say hi. See what they're selling and what they'll buy. Oh no, tough choices. Really not that tough. I'm just gonna eat this grain. Any other? Nope. Nice knowing you. The flax fiber is really useful early game, so it's hard to pass it by. We already have spelt and spelt seeds, so we can continue to stack that in our inventory. Our eyes peeled, surface copper. It's one of the reasons I am not jumping a lot. Oh, not a trader, just a big hole. One of the reasons I do a lot of hopping is so I can get a sort of downward angle on the ground to look for little clusters of rocks. See if not. Ooh, obsidian. It's awesome. Um, oh, more in a basalt. Oh, that brings me joy. I like basalt as a building material, so I'm gonna mark that. And the fact that there's obsidian down there is cool for us because we can use obsidian to make early game weapons or spears that are almost as good as copper. Um, but basically, we're going to be able to beef up our beef up our early game weapons. It'll be better than having flint. To do that, we're going to need to choose to sacrifice something from our pockets, and that something is going to be fennel seeds. Obsidian stone. That's cool. Onions, both growing. Gonna mark it on the map. Possibly come back for them later. Onions. Onion. Make it the color of the hair of Onion from Steven Universe. That'll help me remember when I'm just glancing at the map what type of. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, hey, trader. More spelt. Gonna be with this fish and this spelt. We're gonna be set on food while we wait. Or be panning. Probably head back. Getting late in the day. Clothing merchant. Sometimes the clothing merchants will sell gambeson armor, and it can be a way to sort of get gambeson without needing to cook up all that flax. What color are clothes? Go with teal. Clothing. Nice teal clothing. You can also sleep in their beds, so sometimes setting up near a trader early game can get you. If we look at that bed that this trader has, we can sleep for an hour and a half longer in that bed. And so we can, if the days are getting short and you haven't got a nicer bed or a forever home and you're close enough by to the trader, you can shack up with the trader for the winter, be able to sleep through days and the nights. We're going to try coming back through this lake around the top of our mountain and into our place instead of through the forests again. how that goes. Now that I know we're in basalt, I'm also looking for obsidian stones around. Quartz bits, more spelt. Oh no, I didn't mark the. Wait, I did. Okay, good. Got basalt there, obsidian's nearby. Oh, that was gonna be tragic. Or, tragic is not being able to refine where you found obsidian. Obsidian is much like surface copper, where if you find it on the surface, it usually means there's obsidian down further below it. Right now, we filled up our pockets. 64 is as high as flint will stack, so I'm not going to be grabbing flint anymore as we run through here. We don't have a torch on us, so we might need to stop and make a torch before it gets too late. Obsidian, okay. Mark here. Hello, it would help if there was an O in front of that as far as that word is concerned. Or fish. You hit the X key, you'll transfer something from your offhand to your on-hand right away. Make for a convenient quick one. And you notice how we didn't pick that up, it didn't stack in? And that's because its freshness timer is longer than our current freshness timer. So we'll get meat. Yeah, we're gonna be able to make some really good fish stew when we get home. One of the reasons we're taking a separate path home than when we came is to cover more ground looking for copper. I'm not gonna lie, low-key, it's also right now because I'm super excited that I found obsidian. No, it doesn't show through in my voice. I should be like, obsidian, yeah! But I am. It's just, that's the way I'm excited. Every now and again I get excited and I'll squeal, but this is my excited for obsidian tone. We needed a torch. We need to light our torch. So we're gonna make a throwaway fire starter. I probably should have left the house with a torch knowing I was gonna be out so late, but them's the breaks. Okay. Now we gotta be a little careful with our torch in our offhand of which way we're going across the water. If we jump in water that's more than one deep, it's going to cause us to put out our torch. Soon enough, we'll need our torch to see, so I'm glad we're gonna be past the lakes part of our journey shortly. Quartz bit. Sometimes when you see quartz bits, it's good to check, not just for clear quartz, but also to see if any of them say that they have silver or gold, because that'll let you know there's a silver or gold vein around. I heard an angry bear. Bear, 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 bear. Running from the bear. And there's a warthog, hopefully. Oh good, the bear is not killing us. The warthog's not killing us. Made it into a claystone biome. So we always good to note what new biome you're in. Helps you sort of tune your eyes and your expectations when looking for surface copper. That's a different forest. Yeah, we're gonna cut straight across this plain. Another piggy. I was, in case you didn't see what I was seeing. Another one of the pigs. Oh, bad habit. Oh, running down a dream. I'm often playing this game with Hydrate or Dihydrate on, which is a mod that adds thirst into the game, and it changes some of the life choices I'm making currently. But what it doesn't change is the fact that I always run, even though it's less efficient for that too. I don't, I'm just an always sprinter, whether or not it makes my life easier. I get impatient traveling around. Here we got some more granite gravels. We'll pick that up. Gonna be a little slow going if we just do it with our hands, so we're gonna make ourselves a shovel real quick. We'll probably burn through the shovel, or enough of the shovel that we can toss it to fall apart in the wilds, aka despawn. That should get us enough gravel that hopefully get ourselves into the copper age. As soon as we got a copper pick and a hammer, we can go back to those points on our map where I said there was where we found surface copper, and I was like, ooh, we gotta mark this because we're coming back later. Then we can use that spots to get more copper. And hopefully that'll get us to the point where we end up with enough copper that we don't have to go back to panning at any point in time, because we'll be able to start prospecting and doing legitimate searches for ores. So I can get 9 more pieces of gravel before my pockets are full. So much of this game is about inventory management or prioritization. Okay. Well, it's nice knowing you, Shovel. You'll notice that when I pick up one seed there, I have to toss the other one. Your pockets are completely full and you don't have an empty hand. I guess I could eat these mushrooms. I'm hungry enough. Mushroom, take that shovel with. Okay, you are a good shovel. Interesting how close this granite and... Is that a bauxite? I'm trying to remember if that's bauxite or... Oh, and we got peat. That looks like clay, right? See that? So I'm gonna mark this as peat. Then we'll go investigate to see whether or not that's clay, to see how our map vision identification skills are doing. Yeah, that's red clay. We have room for that in pockets. Red clay that we're running short at home, so I'm just gonna dig it up. Dig up some now. Swap this. Sometimes when I'm trying to harvest till I've got a full stack, when my pockets are really full, I like to move it to my hot bar so I can watch. You can see we're getting like 1 to 4 pieces of clay per little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's We don't end up harvesting more or much more than we can take. It's always a bummer to have a bunch of a resource despawn because you got overzealous and lost track of time while digging it up. I do want to mark it on my map. Red clay. Think. Bauxite up here. Or claystone. Probably claystone. Oh, bauxite. The bauxite is going to be really important later. The stone. So we're, even though it's clearly obviously orange on our map, I'm also going to throw down a marker for it. So I can pin it later when we need to run back over. Bauxite is going to get us, allow us to make better refractory bricks for when we start doing things like advanced pottery or steel, and it'll make our lives a lot easier. Sometimes it can take forever to find bauxite, so the fact that we've got that so nearby to our starting location is pretty awesome. And activity is high, so it'd probably be a good idea to find a hidey hole and hide in it instead of continuing to run around outside. One of the things, if you're traveling fast enough as an always sprinter, which can be hard in this terrain, you can get away from the monsters as they spawn, because it takes them a little while to lock in on you. And so if you're traveling fast enough, if you don't bog down, you can keep ahead of them while running at night. But it is a risk, so it depends on your level of risk aversion. And my level of risk aversion currently is I'm willing to risk it, so we're going to be continuing our night run back to our hut. I believe is where I died last. No, we're going to pin our hut real quick and save that and unpin where we died to that wolf. Now we can see getting to the point where we're going to need to overshoot because of how these mountains are. So we're going to shoot over and then we'll come straight down into our little hut. But it does mean we're not going to sit outside and pan the night away, which is unfortunate because that is one of the things I like to do. We have enough dirt, we might make ourselves a little dirt hovel, pan the night away. There's a balance. There's no punishment for not sleeping, so there's always a balance early game. Oop. So that portal is going to be spawning monsters like mad if we stuck around. So I'm going to keep moving. There's a balance early game between deciding to sleep through the night and the fact that that speeds along the coming of winter. And you can't, while you're sleeping, you're not actively doing anything. So you're sort of losing time. Pig. I don't know if y'all heard the oink. That oink usually means it's either running away or it's gonna try and eat you. But it does, the oink for trying to fight you is a little bit louder or more aggressive feeling, I think. Not surface copper. Nope, nope. Hop, hop. Oh, here I am, starving to death with food in my pockets. I think we got some servings of food, of meals back at home, so we're gonna try eat as little as the food in our pockets as we make our way back, since we're almost there. And we'll sleep through the night, and we'll get to gravel sifting in the morning. What were we cooking up? Well, I'm dying, so. Yep. So there was not food in there. And you can hear the bad guys, so we'll eat a couple pieces of fish just to tide us over and cook a meal. You fish, fish, fish. Have any veg we can put in with that fish? Yeah, 6 puffballs. Make a hefty fish puffball stew. Dash that in there. Might need to expand our dirt hut here in a minute. That's gonna take a while to cook. So probably gonna end up getting that other fish that we got. Check our copper. Got 17. Remember the number we're going for is 40. So got a long way to go before we get there, which is okay. We'll get there. Won't make you watch. Oh hey, I did have a crock with food in it. That. Then we can sleep. Yum. Good old fish stew. So the cooking pot won't speed up when you speed up time. So it'll still be cooking in the morning. So you don't get to put food on and then go to bed and be like, oh, in the morning I'm gonna wake up and there's gonna be food and it's gonna be amazing. Don't do that. If you're gonna end up starving in your sleep, see, did not. Got no immediate benefit from that. We do have some fish in here. You see how that's 3 days, that's 4 days. Now we got 3 days again. So we are getting and seeing the benefit of being judicious with putting things in storage inside. Got our bony soil. Since we're going to be panning, just pan a lot of things. Got enough fish. Last us a while. Bony soil is going to drop bones, so I'm going to take some bones with me. One of the other things I want to do while we're panning is... Yeah. Good. Okay. Where's our angry friend? I am a bad hunter. No, sir, I don't like you. Game does have some like wobble mechanics, so if you crouch down, throw your spear, more accurate. Spears also do a lot more damage. I don't collect their arrows unless I'm playing with. I have some friends that I play with that I collect the arrows when I'm playing with them. We can get some more flax seeds in the ground here in our little farm. Oh man, a deer got in our farm. That's no good. You can see because a deer got in, we now have lost some progress on one of our plants. But I guess it's gonna be tasty deer. Madness. Wonder how that got in. Oh, it's a mystery wrapped in a conundrum. Come back later for those. In this now. The pompous deer. Drop some bones. Okay. Got a little meat. Got some big deers in there. Little baby deers. We're gonna toss them down some cut grass so they fatten up. it's not really cute, or it is cute, but there's nothing that little guy's gonna do except turn into a big thing that's gonna murder us. So we're gonna take it, take its little body. I think we have fennel. We can try making stink bait. I haven't done stink bait before, so I know you need a cooking pot for that. So we'll try some stink bait and add these hides to our stash of hides in our house. I was watching a streamer who had made the crude door. Y'all may have noticed that there is a crude door. The difference, the reason I use hay bales instead of the crude door is the crude door is always breaking. It always breaks. Let's see. Yeah. So I put water in a pot with a piece of fennel, so I gotta get my pot empty. I'm gonna be able to do with these two crocks. One piece of fennel. And one piece of fennel. Nope. Then I'll need water. Right now, the only thing we have for transporting water is our food dish. We'll have to come back and do this once. We'll have to come back and do this once things are. Sorry, my cat is saying hello. Hey, kitty. We'll have to come back and do this once we have finished eating the food out of our bowl. With us. Go get our pan on. Woo! I'm gonna not talk during the panning process. I'm just gonna pan and then I'm gonna speed it all up so you don't have to suffer through it. Things that we cooked before the end of the last episode. Oh, we got decorations. Just to help me find home a little easier. We got a little cute. I don't know. I think it's cute. A little cute flower pot. Probably should have built a jug. And then you can see we're not smoking anymore. So we can open this up when the time comes and we'll have our charcoal. We got our hammer mold. We got our pickaxe mold. So those are all the molds we immediately needed. We're going to need a prospecting pick. So that'll be something we snag eventually. But in the meantime, let's get panning. So I like to just lay out a bunch of blocks. Of our pan, and I'll see y'all in a little bit, just so we can see it's now noon. And we're back. So I think that's it. I think that's everything I needed. Take a look at everything we drug up out of the depths in a second here. Gonna go grab the other the other bits that I dug up. And we'll talk about what all we found. Good hopper going. So we were lucky. We went from high down to calm, so I was able to just, as you can see, it is late into the night. We just panned for, I don't know, started at noon. Now, so over 12 hours we were panning. See, we've made it to our goal number of 40. So we're at a place finally in life where we can get going on the rest of our copper dreams. One of the reasons I was panning the bony soil can't actually get copper nuggets from. So, but I was, oh, well, that's good to know. Stinkbait ruins your pot. Um, Good thing I made an extra one of those. Learning. So don't make stinkbait if you've only got one pot because sadness will ensue. It has a rather short shelf life, so I'm going to put that in there. That'll buy us enough time to deal with that once we've got copper going. So you can see just how many blocks of granite we had to go through to get that copper. We got a couple from the bony soil. We got a couple of these bony rib cages that you can use as decor or break up to get bones. We got some flax fibers, which are always helpful. Not enough to be fully helpful, but enough. So the bony soil is where we got this gold, where we got the copper arrowhead, where we got the copper chain. Sadly, the fact that it says smelts means that we're going to need to, we're going to need to drop it in a bloomery versus be able to do it in our crucible. So that would in theory be all of the copper we would need to make our starting tools, but we can't access it or recycle it. So it turns out to be none of the copper that we need for our starting tools. Bony soil got us a lot of bones, got us some flax fibers, got us the copper spear over there, this copper spearhead here, got us the 2 lore books, got us the nugget of native gold, and it's where the emerald and the peridot came from. The granite, dropping granite stones, quartz chunks, clear quartz, sapphirite, and the precious copper, as well as flint. So you can see we started with 64 flint or 63 flint. So we got about 15 flint out of that. So it's not the most lucrative way to exist, but it does the job. Because we've got frequent rainfall here, we're going to want to make sure to process all of this under cover. And the other thing that we're going to want is to get going on possibly firing some, we'll wait to fire some other stuff. So we've moved to our new forever home spot that we found and are going to set up. Take the sadness that is our dirty cook pot. Set it down up there. Clean cook pot on just in case we want to cook later. We'll dig up our clay. Or sorry, dig up our charcoal. Walk through that. So, you know, it's not. If you can find enough surface copper, you can see why I was trying to do that instead of having to sit there and process the copper in that way. But what you're gonna do? I'm gonna make this slightly nicer than just I'm gonna make this slightly nicer for our little smithy instead of just doing more dirt sadness. Doesn't need to be great, but I want it to feel a little bit more like a purpose-built structure. We're getting to the point where I'm gonna start prioritizing prioritizing doing some things with... Nope, I'm doing this all wrong. A lot of punching. Prioritize doing things with a little bit of coziness or a little bit of planning versus just going hog wild. So when you first put it down, when you first craft slabs, you'll notice that they're set to auto. You drop them in your crafting grid once, you'll see you get only horizontal, and if you drop them, you'll get only vertical. And then there's certain places you look at blocks to get them to go different ways. I don't know why I'm failing miserably. There we go. Make it so. I want. There we go. We're using slabs just as a real quick way, sort of frame out our little hut. I wanted this to face this way. I would need to look at it in this direction. I don't do a lot of slab building. We're going to basically need 3 spaces wide. So we're going to... That. Nope. There's really no purpose. This is not, as you can see clearly, not faster or better. But I feel like building a little something. Drop those in. Drop that in. You know, so it's like we built a little stone. Not pretty, but it's like we built a little stone thing for processing our ores in. And then we're going to need to make grab those tongs that we made in the last game. That's going to take 4 firewood to turn into a fireplace. So we're going to go grab that firewood along with our tongs. Got our tongs. Firewood, which we don't have enough of. So we'll grab our axe. Life choices. You can see we're going to need a snack soon. Bye, there we go. Started. That other gear. Oh well. Toss this down with our pile of trash. I mean, precious items. Pile of precious items. There. There. I'm gonna go chop down this low tree here. But to do that, we're gonna need our axe that we left on the ground over here. There we go. Yeah, the thunder's been rolling. It's fun during the night to watch the flashes of the lightning light up the night sky. Sometimes if you find yourself stuck and your torch has gone out and the night's all dark and you can't see, it's weird as you try and figure out what's going on to see all of a sudden a lightning flash up. Little view. It can lead to some really terrifying moments where the lightning flashes and all of a sudden you see there's a bunch of monsters coming towards you, and then all of a sudden you're in darkness again. Scary and horrible. Before we start hearing our little person, our little seraph start crying at us, we're gonna pop in, grab ourselves some food, get full up, and we'll get our charcoal gone. We're gonna have our first copper tools. Oh crap, there's a bear. Well then. Yep, you're following us, Mr. Bear. Guess I'm gonna lead the bear to the pit trap, even though it's full of animals, because that's probably the only way I'm gonna survive this. Oh, nope. Okay. Which pit trap? So one of the problems with the bear and the fact that it's following us is that it can go over fences. So we can't like hide one of our fenced in areas. And you can still hear it sort of quietly padding along behind us. Sometimes running near trees because the bears can't go through two wide holes allows us to escape the bear. You can hear whenever it roars, it's attacking. So that means it's like I'm doing a really bad job of evading this bear. And we lost it somewhere in the woods over there. So let's get that food, get in our little hut. Hope it doesn't wander over here. Whew, bears. Okay. Safe from the bear, having a snack. Sometimes I feel like my Seraph is a cat in a way that as soon as it's hungry, it starts screaming. You know, you can be a little hungry for a little while. And I guess if you're hungry enough that you're taking damage, you're, I guess, very hungry. Not a little hungry. But we're set now on food. Lost the bear far enough away that hopefully it won't path over to us. Got the firewood we need. Grab our crucible. One of the things that it took me forever to learn, and it wasn't until I was on a public server that had someone who was the only thing they like to do with smithing, is that if you spread your copper pieces out into a lower pile, so you can see at 40, I'm still getting 200 units of copper. You can see each of these molds takes 100 units of copper. And then as I spread them out, I'm still getting the same amount of copper. This will heat up faster. The other thing we're going to do, because we're early game, and I didn't want to show you a montage of me building 50 million flint. I didn't want to show you a montage of me building 50 million flint axes. We have a limited amount of charcoal, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to stretch that charcoal a little further using this nearby peat. We'll dig up our charcoal. You can dig it up by hand. It digs up slightly faster with the flint shovel. For me, the time energy trade-off for getting charcoal with the flint shovel. So we have more than enough charcoal that we could just process this whole first load with charcoal, but then we'd need to make more charcoal sooner. So we're gonna speed it along by preheating our copper bits with peat. This peat has a burning temperature of up to 900 degrees. So if we can get the copper and our fire pit up to 900 degrees before we throw the charcoal in to boost it over, we'll be able to get away with using a lot less charcoal to warm things up. So we'll get that lit, and you can see the fire heat is going to go up way faster than the heat here. And if we had these all in a single stack, this number would be going up slower. So we're going to warm it up faster that way. Consolidate our gear pile. We're rich. While that heats up, I'm going to do a little more panning. So it can be, you know, panning is a useful tool. We've got enough sapphirite that if we find any bismuth or a bismuth chain before we find, oh no, if we find bismuth in the ground before we find sapphirite, we've got enough sapphirite nuggets that we could make one bismuth bronze nugget or tool. Okay, and so the fact that that fire went out means it's going to drop in temperature. So it's got a little too distracted. Probably going to end up needing the same amount of coal. One of the cool things about the coal is that it stacks up in a fun pile. It will fall down, so if you get high enough up, it'll spill, which is why I put this little two there. See, our copper's getting hot enough. As soon as we get over 1,000 degrees and 84 degrees, see our progress bar is going to start going. If we put a little more peat on the fire, we could have saved ourselves some coal. The charcoal burns a lot hotter than we need to get up to 1300 degrees. So one of the things that means is we're actually going to these past their temperature. So, and it takes them the nuggets, a little while to cool down. So even though our charcoal is probably going to burn out before we're done, we might have enough heat to ride it all out. That's a bit of a gamble. And we'll take it, just because watching me make mistakes is going to help you avoid mistakes. So we can watch how fast it's cooling, right? So it's cooling pretty slow, and as long as it's not going to get below 1084 before it gets to the end of its little arrow, which based on the rate that it's cooling, not going to be the case. Then before we pick that up, right, we got to have our tongs. Our tongs need to be in our offhand. Now we're holding that, and we can pour our first tools. Sadly, bone is no longer a useful handle for new tools. If we left these out in the open and a rainstorm came through, the molds would shatter and we would lose the copper. So that's one of the reasons I built it this little hut. We could have just dug out inside our hut a little more, get inside our hut a little more to get further along with that. But instead, we're just going to leave it here to cool. Got some time for that cooling. I'll finish panning this. We're running low on storage in our little hut. I don't want to build too much storage here because we've got our forever home to move to. I do want to build a little more storage. We'll get going another storage vessel while that cools down. And I'll speed this up since you've already watched me make a storage vessel. Probably already made several storage vessels yourself. No tip or trick. Gonna make this more entertaining. And the copper is cold enough. So once it says hardened, pick it up. Make our first tools. Hammer that we're gonna need, our precious, precious hammer. That there. Got our closest place to surface copper's there, so I'm just gonna roll over there, dig that out, and show you that I wasn't lying to you. Hopefully. This is where we found it. Down a couple ladders. I always like to put down a couple ladders when I'm digging down, because it lets me, just in case there was a cave or something down here, we keep ourselves from plunging in. So we're sort of like hanging out on the ladder and digging at the same time. Down to here. You'll notice we hit granite before we found copper. So we're going to need to break that. And then there we go, native copper. So when we're looking at our copper, there's a couple things that we want to see that's good for us to know. If we're looking, you can see at the top, it says quality medium. So that means we're going to get more nuggets out of each hunk of ore from this one than we would if its quality was poor. So you get like poor, medium, and rich. And so as we're looking, I think, as we're looking, there might be other ones. Those are the ones I see the most is poor, medium, or rich. So rich is the best you can do. Poor is poor. So the fact that this is medium is good luck for us. How big this vein is to be determined. They're usually not super big, the surface copper. It would be rare to get enough to get like 64 chunks of ore of medium native copper ore out of a surface copper thing. Usually it's like 16 to the most I've ever gotten is like 60. So this isn't going to be our solution to a never-ending world of copper, but it is going to be enough copper that we won't have to go panning again immediately. Sometimes the copper ends up going down, so it can be useful to chisel out or to chip out a bit more than just where you're immediately sieving the ores. The next thing we're going to make is a prospecting pick. Our next copper tool we'll make is going to be a prospecting pick, and then I'll show you how we can use that to, one, look for deeper ore. Prospecting pick is not going to show you nearby ore, but it'll show you sort of like the odds of finding ore in a given area. So it's a good tool to figure out how to use, and it's really crucial for moving beyond the copper age and beyond the surface copper pockets. It can also be used in another mode. It's got two modes. It can also be used in a mode to help tell you that you've tapped out copper in an area. So we could use it to make sure we got all the possible copper bits out of this node. You can see I'm poking around here a little to see if we've got any more luck, but I'm pretty sure we've finished tapping this out. So that's going to be it for this vein, I think. Do a couple more checks. Yeah, we'll do one up. Yeah, that's going to be it. So we're going to get out of here. Climb up. I like to close my holes. The other thing you can do is, right, we could dig this out and make it into a pit trap. So it really depends on your MO. I like to hide the fact that I just went here and pillaged all of Mother Nature's goodness out of that spot. And so if we hadn't built the hammer, we'd have no way of getting the copper nuggets out of here. So that's what we're going to use the hammer for. Gotta grab your hammer in your crafting grid. See, we're going to get 4 native copper for each of those. So we got 124 native copper, which puts us at about 5 ingots, if I'm doing my math correctly. 20 ingots, or 20 of these nuggets equals 1 tool. So we can now make a total of 5 tools before we're out of copper that we've grabbed. See, we're also getting a lot of cobblestone, which will be useful, or stone that we can use to make cobblestone or dirt paths or things like that. It's going to be useful as we start to build our new life. We're going to want a prospecting pick next. We did not make that mold in our initial round of molds, so I'm going to make it now. Given the angle of the shadow on the ground, probably that's going to be able to touch on, we aren't going to be able to touch on prospecting because we won't have our tools ready in time. So we're going to start off the next episode with a move to our forever home and probably doing prospecting as we go. Get the rest of these going. Do some other chores around the base. Probably dig up some peat, process some of our food to a format that is usable. We're not going to have enough sticks here, so what time it is? More sticks. More sticks time. We go into the forest yet again to chop down sticks. Go wrong. With stick gathering. I have enough sticks, but I'm just gonna finish to chop that all the way out. Plant a tree. There's a mod called Carry On that lets you carry storage vessels. That can be really helpful when you're relocating bases, because right now, as you can see, our pockets are pretty small. So we're gonna need to take quite a few trips to get from here to our forever home with all of our stuff. Or at least the stuff we care about. Because we're going to need to come back to harvest crops, we might just prioritize taking stuff that we're going to immediately need. And then from there, we'll come back on our crops, gather other things as we go. I'm going to leave these arrowheads for now and the lore books, stuff like that. Probably the key. We've got enough clear quartz here that we can make clear quartz piece of glass. So if we take our blocks, we can do this. This is going to be useful. We built our charcoal pit above ground. We can use this as one of the walls of the charcoal pit. One of the cool things about glass is you can put it down, you can smash it with your hands, you can pick it up, you can put it back down. So we could build this charcoal pit up, and then we can use this glass to look through the side and see if our charcoal is just burning or if our charcoal is done, and it takes some of the guesswork out of the charcoal pit. That's that. We'll do some fishing with our stinkbait because our stinkbait's going to go bad. Get 4 servings of something cooking. Got that crock. That'll wind out our day here. Got 5 pieces of meat. Gonna do a ear and fish stew. Go 5 berries in there. Because we don't have mushrooms or anything else, it's not going to be quite as filling, but it'll do trick. Fed. Fire for that. Fire, we need fuel. Hop back down to our beer. Up a bunch of peat. Play this game time. Peat stack's 32 high, so top there just shy of a stack. We'd probably get away with 5 pieces of peat, but we're not in a peat shortage situation. Not as concerned. You might find yourself feeling the need to be highly optimized in your cooking fires. I do not find myself quite as needing to be highly optimized in my. So we're gonna not be highly optimized in cooking. Throw our gravel in there. Have our fishing rod and our fishing bait. Think bait. Coming with me. Boop. There's our fishing rod. We gotta be up here to look at the bottom of it to grab it. Let's see. Bushmeat stinkbait. See how that goes. Wonder if there's highly attractive to fish. So it's a very pretty bait. What we can catch. Once we catch this last fish, I'll nap an obsidian spear and we can compare the obsidian, the copper, and the flint spears for their damage ratings and see sort of how and why we're cruising through things. Got faked out. Okay. Casting over here. That was a lot faster. So we got, 3 of these little fishies. I think they give 1 to 2 meat per fishy, if I recall correctly. Find out how my recollection is. Yep. So got about 2 fish fillets out of each of those. Grab. Make ourselves a spear real quick. Also just looks cool. I'm trying to set up like something that looks like a sacrificial altar or something like that. If I'm building, I find an obsidian knife with a bone handle to be an excellent way of doing that. So if you look, our obsidian spear does 4.5 damage when thrown, and it has attack power 2.3 damage when it's not. Our copper spear is going to be when thrown does about half a point more damage, so it does not much more damage than the obsidian spear. And if we look at our flint spear, it's a half a point lower, right? So sort of if we're stacking these, least's good, half a point better, 1 whole point better, right? We go stabbing. So copper is definitely better than these two, but copper, I pretty much only make copper spears out of the copper heads I dig out of bony soil. I pan out of bony soil. Just, I don't know, they feel wasteful to me. When you get into bronze, it's a big enough damage bump from the other spears that it's worth it. But so the obsidian spear, while not as good as the copper spear, better than the flint spear. Looks cooler, right? Well, we got bones, we got more obsidian, so I'm gonna make ourselves a cool looking obsidian knife blade. Something that feels cool. Yeah. Got an obsidian knife blade. Read like how you could nap the obsidian sharper than a scalpel. I don't know. I just think it looks neat. Get up there. Bit of a early game brag or an early game boon. We're just on the cusp of the Copper Age. We're in a place where it's still useful for us. How our plants are doing. Check in on the carrots. Up to 7. Nope. Got a lot more animals down there. Grass down. We'll murder all of them. At some point. But as you can see, at this point, we've sort of solved our food scarcity issue. The first few days we were running around, always hungry. And now we're trying to make sure we're cooking stuff and having meals on hand that we can preserve. We're just dipping our toes into the Copper Age, where we can go back and we can revisit all of the surface copper points that we mapped. And by all of, I mean like the 2. Yeah, 2. The 1, 2. So we can pop down there and see what that is. Pop over there, grab that. And that will start getting us get us towards the other age. Getting us towards bronze. The other thing we're going to be doing now is we're going to start prospecting. So we're going to be basically expanding out our search radius as we go. So we're in good shape. We're about to be able to start building a cute home, a cute Stone Age, a little cute stone home. having the resources that we need to survive and to build a little armor. This shovel is almost spent, so I'm just going to dig. Instead of having to carry it, I'm just going to dig it out. Toss this pile of peat. Front door. Getting late enough to sleep, so feed that along. Gonna go to sleep. There's gonna be a lot of fast forwarding during, or time lapse speeding up the playback footage. So y'all will still see it all. It'll just go faster. Let me know how you like that if you can in the chat. If you don't like it, if you want the long form version of me just chilling, doing tasks like fishing or getting the getting the gravel panned. Let me know if that's what you want to see. I got some feedback that I needed to do a whole ton of editing and things like that, which is fine. I'm old school. I'm doing in like 2012 no edits style of this, but I know some of the tasks are tedious and I don't have enough interesting things to say to fill the time of that tedium. So for this episode at least, we're trying speeding up time. But again, still 3 days in game have passed. It's nighttime. We're going to go to sleep. And when we wake up, it'll be time for episode 4 of Caveman to Cozyman. Have a lovely day, and I guess like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this at all. I appreciate y'all. Take care.